Well, today we arrive at the last study in the book of Esther. We've been considering the book through this series entitled For Such a Time as This. And as we draw this to a close, we're going to be taking a look at the author's final words and thoughts. Perhaps a good title for this study would be Serving Side by Side. Let's read the closing words that we find in Esther chapter 9, verses 29 through chapter 10, verse 3. Queen Esther, daughter of Abihail, along with Mordecai the Jew, wrote this second letter with full authority to confirm the letter about Purim. He sent letters with messages of peace and faithfulness to all the Jews who were in the 127 provinces of the kingdom of Ahasuerus, in order to confirm these days of Purim at their proper time, just as Mordecai the Jew and Queen Esther had established them, and just as they had committed themselves and their descendants to the practice of fasting and lamentation. So Esther's command confirmed these customs of Purim, which were then written into the record. King Ahasuerus imposed a tax throughout the land, even to the farthest shores. All of his powerful and magnificent accomplishments and the detailed account of Mordecai's great rank to which the king had honored him, have they not been written in the historical records of the kings of Media and Persia? Mordecai the Jew was second only to King Ahasuerus, famous among the Jews and highly popular with many of his relatives. He continued to seek good for his people and to speak for the welfare of all his descendants. Now, when the church functions according to God's design, we serve effectively to accomplish His will. Unity should be the hallmark of God's people, but it's not always easy to accomplish. From biblical times to this present day, God has drawn a variety of people unto himself. Certainly, we could never have imagined the cast of characters that God chose to carry out his plan contained within the book of Esther. In this final section of the story, the author notes each person, each important person one by one, somewhat resembling the final curtain call of a dramatic performance. Now, Queen Esther is noted first, both her royal Persian name and her Jewish lineage. Both aspects of her identity were necessary. She was celebrated for her role in the salvation of God's people, but also for the authority she received to confirm the religious practice of Purim for all Jews for all time. Now, the author named Mordecai next and identified him as the Jew and as second only to King Ahasuerus. Mordecai received the final mention in the book for the way he used his position in this pagan Persian kingdom for the ultimate good of God's people. Now, interestingly, King Ahasuerus was also mentioned in the concluding comments and remarks. Even this sometimes spineless, overindulgent king played an important role in God's plan. Although he imposed a tax throughout the land, Ahasuerus also empowered Esther and Mordecai, and very importantly, he recorded these events in the official Persian records. Ultimately, the stories of these three very different individuals were woven together for God's purpose. Together, their actions were used by God for his redemptive work of his people. Of course, the single most important character of all is God. While he was not specifically named in this book, he was certainly present throughout all the actions that were taking place. Now, as we draw this to a close today, I want to put one final challenge up to you. I want to challenge you to recognize that God has a place for you. You may feel that you are absolutely, totally insignificant to anything God could be doing or could want to do, but let me tell you something today. If you are a child of God, you are a part of his kingdom. And as a part of his kingdom, you have a significant role in the building of that kingdom. You have been created for just such a time as this. Become the Esther of your day by carrying out God's will and his purpose through you. Step up to the plate and recognize your importance today in the building of God's kingdom. Until next time.